Hello crafters, this is Mary Prasad. Visit me at awashwithcolor.com. In this video, I'm going to do a mini review of Mermaid Markers and color Dreamerland Crafts stamp My Dear Puppy. Here's a look at the completed card. For a full step-by-step, please visit my blog at awashwithcolor.com. I'll put a link to the post in the comments. Mermaid Markers are by Jane Davenport and American Crafts. They come in a set of 12 in this plastic container, and they contain dye ink. They're basically water brushes and may be used as water brushes once they are empty. Note that the ink in these is not light fast, meaning that you should not expose them to light for long periods of time. There is a stickered label on the bottom third with the color name. Both the label and the cap have a sort of indication of the color inside, but it definitely is not exact. As you can see, this color here does not at all match the swatch that I painted here. Before using the markers for the first time, you will need to remove the yellow-green plastic ring and screw the pen together such that the barrier inside breaks. I'll turn up the volume so you can hear it. The brush tip comes with sizing in it. You may rinse it out or just use your fingers to gently break it apart. Once the ink starts flowing, the sizing will run out. To get the ink to flow, turn the marker downward over scrap paper and gently squeeze the barrel. This may take a few tries, but don't be tempted to push too hard or a lot of ink may suddenly come out. I actually sped this up double speed so you wouldn't have to wait as long as I did. You should be able to see the ink as it starts to enter the bristles. I'm in the process of making a swatch sheet of all the colors on watercolor paper. I used the full strength marker on the left, then created a gradient with my water brush. I'll use this as a reference when selecting colors since it will show how the colors look once dry. The colors are very bright and have a lot of pigment. One thing to note, the quality control on these was not particularly great. You can see here that some of the bristles got bent under the cover. I had to trim these off or they would mess up my painting. Here's a quick look at my final swatch sheet. Here's the tip sheet that came with the markers. In this, they suggested doing color gradations by touching the tips, so I'm going to try that now. I started with two colors that were a little too close together, and I didn't get a good result. But as you'll see, when I tried it with colors that were further apart, it did work pretty well. And here I'm just using my water marker to pick up some of the color and blend it out. The last thing I did was see how well the color lifted. First I tried lifting it with just the water brush itself. Then I put some more water down and tried using a paper towel to lift it up. That seemed to work a lot better. It did, however, stain the paper, and being a dye ink, that isn't surprising. Now I'm going to stamp Dreamerland Crafts My Dear Puppy on watercolor paper. I'm using Strathmore's cold pressed watercolor paper for this. The stamps come with a backing paper that you'll have to remove before using. This watercolor paper has a strong texture, so I highly recommend using a stamp positioner or other stamp press in order to get a good result. Of course, you need to use a waterproof ink such as VersaFine Onyx Black that I'm using here. I also highly recommend heat setting this because the sizing on the paper will make the ink take much longer to dry. I'm going to use traditional paintbrushes to color this image in 00, 1, and 4 sizes. These happen to be Sable Cast Art brand. This is not the typical use for these markers, but I wanted to see how they perform as traditional watercolor. There are many other videos out there that show the basic use already. Now I'm just going to speed this up and let you watch the watercoloring. I'm using my Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils to fill in any spots and add details. I highly recommend making a color swatch of all the pencils so you can see the true colors instead of looking at the casing, which doesn't always match. And here's a final look at the image. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you will. For the steps for making the full card, I'm going to try to put a link at the end screen, but if not, it will be linked below the video. To see my other cards and projects, please visit my blog at awashwithcolor.com, and I hope you have a wonderful day.